Oh boy.
Yumi, what is something you want to see go away and never come back?
So, as you guys know, I'm the wigologist.
Yeah.
No, so the thing I'm hoping will go away, especially with Black women who wear full lace wigs, is the over exaggerated edges that they do.
The sculpted.
It gets to the point where people even get edges or baby hairs rather.
I was gonna say baby hair.
Baby hair.
Not tattooed on their forehead. It's not that serious. I just don't understand why.
Did you say tattooed?
Yeah, they get.
Now you know.
Yeah.
Wow. Foreheads, and it's really ridiculous. And the reason why people do it, well, the reason why they were supposed to do it is to kind of like hide the lace better. But now it's like we need to have dramatic, baby hair. They're not even baby hairs anymore. They're bangs. So yeah,
that was a style back in the 70s and in the 60s to have the baby hair.
Yeah,
but it was their hair
back then. Now it's just overly dramatic, and it's kind of only known to Black women, and it just I hate it for us.
I hate it for us too. I agree. Yeah. All right, Wanisha.
So I'm gonna have to go deep. Y'all know me. I'm gonna be deep.
Oh, go there.
Say racism. I would say racism, and I say that in relation to the show as well, because there was a scene that I had with Gracie where, while I was doing the interview as Janet Logan, I took it in, but I didn't really think of, the full impact of it. The scene where I'm asking her about has she ever, been to New York. And then she talks about how they went to New York, and the chauffeur took them up. And she says something like, we took the chauffeur so we didn't have to ride the Jim Crow car.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about it. And if you're just listening to it on the surface, you're like, oh, that sounds very classist, right? But it didn't hit me until recently when I just started reading this book called Traveling While Black. Mm-hmm. And it talks about the history of Black people and travel in this country. It came out just a couple of years ago. And it goes back from, talking about the railroad all the way up into current day. And it starts in the 1800s. Mm-hmm. And what they talked about a lot was the Jim Crow car and what it actually meant for Black people. Even if you were affluent, you had to sit in the car. They would pay for tickets to travel first class and still put in the Jim Crow car, where it was, just dirty. It was not only just that, it was unsafe. The Jim Crow cars would be made of wood, and the rest of the train would be steel. So there was a time period where there were a lot of accidents, right? And when the train accident happened, the Jim Crow cars would be crushed because they were made of wood. In 1918, I think there was an incident where about 100 Black people died in one train car. And that was something very prominent that they tried to abolish because of all of that happened. And so it's just, sad when we look at a lot of what's happening, with the Supreme Court and the rollbacks of some of the protections of civil rights. It reminds me of how much our ancestors had to fight to get those protections. And it started back in the 1800s with them trying to get equal rights by traveling by the train. And so I'm just thankful that the show helped me see things in a different light and learn so much. And I just hope that our nation just continues to progress, because we can't go back to that time. Our ancestors fought too hard, too much. They shouldn't have had to. And so I just hope that what they experienced and what happened isn't in vain. And more people should look into history and how it shapes our present.
Yeah,
that is deep, but so true. I felt like I learned some stuff too with this show. Selena, what you think?
She says she's on the Metro, but she's going to type her answer.
Okay. Gonna type it. So that means I need to look on here in the comments, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like type something up.
Typing, I have a question for you.
Microaggressions, all day long, just little bits by themselves would be fine, but then they just all pile up.
Yes. What were you gonna say, Barbara?
A question for you ladies, and it's kind of pertaining to the black white thing. What do you guys think of integrating a 90-year-old theater that only do 2 black shows or only have done 2 black shows with all black cast in 90 years, opposed to establishing our own theaters for black people?
I think there's room for both. I think there should be black theater, and I think we should be allowed everywhere, because it's not just the fact that there only been 2 all black casts. There are very few black people on this stage. I've been around a while. I know I've seen this theater before, and it is no accident that this is like the very first time I've been on the stage, and I've been around here since the late 90s. We don't do shows that we can be in, and if you don't sing like me, then you're out. There was nothing. They wouldn't even cast. That's why I was talking about. I wanted all of us to start going around auditions together, because when you're by yourself, they can't figure out what to do with you. Like if they might say, "Oh, well, maybe the mother and daughter could be black," or maybe because unless you know people that want to work with you, a lot of times you're hanging out there and they just don't know what to do with the black actor. So I think we just need to be everywhere. Personally. Yeah. Be in these theaters and also have our own work that understands, our lives as well.
I love that answer.
Yeah.
Touche. Anybody else want to comment?
No, I was going to say, Barbara, that's a great point for being brave to speak out about it. So many people are just comfortable with getting cast, and they're like, as long as I'm cast, I'm not
forget everybody else.
Yeah, I've never liked that.
I said forget everybody else, but you bring up a great point. It is something that is profound for theater only black shows in 90 years, especially in Alexandria, a town that has been, has had a strong.
It's historically black. It has a rich history.
Yes,
I want to see all of you back on that stage again, but I also want to see you in black spaces.
Yes, right. And I would say if anyone from LTA is watching, why not have a black show every year?
True.
It would be nice. And that's just one. Like, let's have a couple. Let's, what I'm saying? Let's have diverse casts for your predominantly white shows.
Yeah, and don't wait for the black show to cast black people. There could be more black people on Freaky Friday, right?
Well, wait for black people, but there is something to be said about black culture on stage. Yes, and if you look at if you look at Kennedy Center, all the major professional theaters, they have at least one black show every season. Yeah. Arena. And so if the professional stages can do it, surely community can match that energy, because those are the stages that we are trying to get to. Right. And so we can be able to be in shows like this. We can be in professional spaces.
So we have to start buying tickets and going to the shows and auditioning for all shows, not just black shows. Yeah. And that's going to be part of it. And, once again, the audience has to be diverse. When the audience starts to, my opinion, when the audience starts to be more diverse, the productions will start being more diverse. LTA is a business and they're catering to their customers. That's who they're catering to. And whether it's a black-white thing, one can argue either way. But if you look at it as strictly from a business perspective, there's the people who buy tickets and fill those seats are their clients, and that's who they're trying to make happy.
And if you only market to those people, those are the only people who will know about it and show up.
Right.
But once again, you have to. I mean, you can go both ways with that. Once again, I don't want to get on the LTA bandwagon. But I'm saying is, if they're never coming into we don't know the history of the marketing. Right. We don't know that. We're only looking at one snapshot with one show. So you have to look at the history of their marketing and what they've been doing to get diverse people into the chairs.
I will say this. I do hope that the tide is turning for them and all of the theaters.
We know it's not going to be 23, 24, but that's already been slated.
Truly, we know that. But what I was going to say
to come out for a few.
We all should.
Yeah, ask us to come out for that one show. Orient Express, and I think we should do it because she clearly made a point of bringing, of waiting to approach all of us, and that's the kind of movements we need to make.
Michelle said, if we do it, they will come, right? Yeah. In order to build an audience, you have to cater to them. We had a lot of people come out to this show that supported us, right? So all of them are asking, when is the next one, right? Like this. And if you can't point to the next one, you lose that momentum. And like you said, we see what 23, 24 looks like. Then that's how you have to build momentum by keeping the audience that you had come in. And so if it's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? Like you have to commit to that programming in order to bring the audience, the diverse audience as well.
Yeah.
I also think that
this was a good time also to just acknowledge what Eleanor has done for LTA and in bringing these plays there, because both of the Black plays that have been brought to LTA, the whole entire history of the 90 years of LTA have been brought there and directed by Eleanor Tapscott. And she's a director who was hard on us because she knew she could get what she needed to get out of us. She knew we were capable of doing it. But you also have to give her credit for being the one to be out there and to have the courage enough to go and push for those shows to be there and direct them. And I believe in Jaquel, you can correct me if I'm wrong. At the last meeting, her position at LTA was the only contested position. And she got that position back. She was voted back in. But I think that speaks volumes also. If we want to continue to have those plays brought there, I think she should be credited with spearheading that, because she is the one who brought the 2 Black plays there. So I have to give her props for that and for being in there and being the only person of color on the I'm assuming board.
Yeah. Looking at that board.
She gets props, and I made sure I gave her flowers, like, because that is significant. But Kelly, you dropped some tea there about a contested position.
Yeah.
I will say something though. I think
I'm sorry, Jimmy, before you say that, I will say that Jaquel was at the board. So Jaquel, correct me if I'm wrong in that, because I was not there. Jaquel was there.
No, you're correct. As I had let y'all know, I mean, I went so I spy so I can see everything, and I want to know what's going on. But so at the board meeting was the annual elections. There was only one candidate for each governorship. The only one that had more than one was Eleanor's position, which is the governor of seasonal planning. The seasonal planning committee is the committee responsible for bringing the shows to LTA. Over the year, they read hundreds of plays, and then they vote and they decide. I think they might bring it out to the population, but at least the committee, they're the ones who have the responsibility to finding the shows, and then either the governor, I'm not sure about this part, but either the governor or probably all of the members get to vote to see which shows come, and that's the process. And there was another woman who wanted to be the governor for that committee, Eleanor, and another woman, and Eleanor did win. All the other positions only have one candidate, and the position that had no candidate at all was the governor for membership services. Nobody. And that right now, not right now, but last month, that was Stacy's job. Stacy was the governor of membership, and she obviously did not want to go back, but that's the one that's still open.
Well, I am still mulling over, but I think I am going to become a member. And one of the things is I'm never a silent partner. I'm going to ask the question, even if it sounds ignorant, because I might be ignorant until I know. But, you all know this is my town. So it hurts me that I went to that elementary school a block away and I'd never heard of the theater.
Really?
Right there. you know, and I don't even know that I even, you know, if we drove by it, I must have been so young I never paid attention. So, you know, if they are, in which it sounds like they are opening to changing the tide, there are some things that, you know, hopefully I can help affect change. I don't want to sit on a board or sit on a committee with people who aren't open. And then I will quickly probably dismiss myself. But I'm going to give it a chance. I've been thinking about it. And for me, it's scheduling. And, you know, being 46, I really have to schedule my rest.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's a thing, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't see myself doing a production as big as this while I'm working, you know, during the regular
during the fall. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, if it's something shorter that I may be able to commit to, but so that's what I'm saying. So planning and planning my rest is huge, but I think, you know, the meetings are so, you know, not so many, you know, that I couldn't. And it is my town. And, you know, one thing, you know, I've lived in Connecticut. I worked at ESPN for a few years, and my friends there were like, we got to visit Alexandria because the way you talk about, I was like, it's on the water, you know, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, we can't go out like this. And I know too many people that I think can help with changing things if they are open to it. So I'm going to sniff around and see. But again, I don't want to be the one that's like, you know, crying wolf and I don't have anything no solution or not solution minded in that.
And that's kind of goes into what I wanted to say. I feel like correct me if I'm wrong, as the Black community goes, when it comes to, if we feel like we're not going to be accepted somewhere, we just don't even try. So it's like, we want to make these changes, we want to make these things happen, but not a lot of us are going to those meetings or going to see if we can actually be on the board or volunteering to help out with a show or volunteering to do stuff because you feel like it wouldn't be done for you if the shoes were turned, but sometimes it is. So I feel like if we want to make change, even though this has been how it's been for history, you have to make sure your voice is heard. And sometimes it's really tiring, but if you want to make those changes happen, you have to actually put yourself out there and not think about being rejected or being the only colored being in that space. So that's just one thing I wanted to say. If we want to make these changes happen, we actually have to be the ones to do it. And then they can start changing. We can't just sit in the background complaining as loud as we can for change when our people are not actually, they're already admitting defeat because
right.
I hope I'm making any sense. So we are the ones to put our foot in there to make
Black Orient Express, y'all.
Yeah. Let's for it.
Or like,
look, I'm gonna say this: if y'all down, I'm down.
Let's do it. I'll come to y'all. Even if you don't all get in, if somebody gets in, then the job is done.
Then the job is done.
No, we need at least 4 people in.
Right. Get off and going to the board meeting. Thank you for doing that this year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I hadn't known that Eleanor's position was the only one contested. We wouldn't have known that. So thank you for going to the board meeting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, no problem.
It gave me pause to see the board of governors, the picture wall.
Oh,
every day, every night we came in, and I go, wow.
And that's another thing, though. I mean, it could just be that no one except for Eleanor had tried to get those positions because they automatically assumed they weren't going to get it. There have been a bunch of auditions where I'm like, oh, they're not going to look for anyone like me, so I just didn't audition. So,
and you get yourself, you get in your own way.
Yeah, exactly. So we just got to change that mindset.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of knew what I was going to expect at the meeting. I was tired that day. It was the Sunday or Monday of Juneteenth, and I wasn't going to go, but I was like, let me just go because I had in my mind all month that I was going to go. And I went, and I told y'all after they did all the talking and voting and stuff, I stood up and introduced myself. You know, I planted my feet, and they're like, I'm here. I'm here. So, and that was something that I decided to do. And I really think the show, although there's been 2, when they look at the numbers, when they look at the feedback, I think they're going to use this as a basis for going forward. Maybe I'm being naive, but I do. I mean, they have to look at the success of this show when they vote or say yes or no. We can't do it this year. And and that's why it was so important for us to do so well at this show, because if it was anything less than what it was, they would have used us not to bring another show. And now they can use us as a reason to bring another show. But it has to start. It has to start somewhere. And in order to be a governor, you got to be in LTA a couple years. You know, they have a process. I mean, it's a business, right? And you have to do this, that, and the other. You have to do something for a couple years in order to get there. So Eleanor paid her dues. She had a mission. I can't speak for her, but she obviously had a mission. And she was willing to go in there and start at the bottom in order to get up to where she is on the governor's board. That was a process for her. It didn't take overnight. She put in work for a couple of years to get to that governorship. It was years to get there. She didn't just walk in and become a governor.
Right. And Stacey explained, it's levels. And for me, you know, this was a YOLO experience of sorts for me, but I'm like, I'm thinking about something else. What's the next thing I want to do? You know, can I commit a few years to do, you know, and especially if it's pushback, you know, I'll listen to you the first time, but if I smell it and it don't smell right, I'm going to call it what it is. And then I might have to dismiss myself, you know, but I'm going to try, because it, you know, it's such a great space. Like if we just think of it aesthetically, and you know, the people who volunteer want to be there. I mean, the fact that we were all found, you know, and put together and put on that stage. And for all of the people who said, this was a great show, when is the next one? I would love to have that be something people keep coming back to, if it benefits everybody, you know, not just a few people. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm down for whatever. I'm down for Chicago in the fall. Somebody can plan that and just tell me where to spend my money. I will do that. Juanisha, what you say?
No, I was saying I'm down for like, you know, I'm down for using my voice for change, like you said, June. I also am aware that Black women have been putting movements on our shoulders for centuries.
And we're tired.
It shouldn't take us to digging, because if people want something, they can find it, right? If you want your governors to look a certain way, you can go out and have the outreach in the community, because we're there, right? So I want to commend Eleanor for putting it on her back. But we shouldn't have to carry the weight on our back when we're in the show, promoting the show, you know. So all I ask is for people to meet us halfway. So I'll do that work. But I'm also about creating our own spaces, right? Redirecting the energy of fighting towards also creating places to where we could have our own theater one day. So,
and look, you know, all I got to do is tell my people, and we're going to have a crowd. Have a crowd. At least on opening night.
Right. Oh, and it's
Lisa, get to work, start writing past all of us.
Right.
And then Jaquel, get on the board of governors, then we're going to do Lisa.
Yes. Well, ladies, I appreciate you for taking the time to join me on this podcast. I definitely, it was the whole show was good, but it really got good this last 20 minutes. And I was like, are we going to